Пизда тачки. С одного выстрела нахуй нас уебали.
Ukraine's general staff denied claims made by the chief of the general staff of the Russian army, Valery Gerasimov, that Russian forces have captured the city of Kupiansk. The statement from Ukraine's general staff comes as Gerasimov reportedly informed Russian President Vladimir Putin of Kupiansk's alleged capture during Putin's visit to a command post of the Zapad force. Kupiansk remains under the control of Ukraine's defense forces, the general staff said. Counter-sabotage operations and special search and destroy actions against enemy reconnaissance and sabotage groups that infiltrated the city are ongoing in and around Kupiansk. The leadership of the terrorist state continues to produce cheap informational provocations, Ukraine's general staff said, adding that the disinformation aims to conceal critical Russian losses. Kupiansk, a strategically important town in Kharkiv Oblast, has seen renewed fierce fighting as Russia continues its marginal advance in the region. Since September 28th, it has been closed to civilians due to ongoing combat operations and the threat of Russian sabotage groups. In recent months, Russian units have been attempting to infiltrate Ukrainian lines by going through gas pipelines or dressing up as civilians, the Ukrainian military previously reported, adding that the latter tactic continues a war crime. In September, Operational Strategic Command Dnipro spokesperson Oleksiy Belsky said that capturing the city of Kupiansk serves as Russia's main goal in Kharkiv Oblast. The city, which lies 104 kilometers, 65 miles east of Kharkiv, comes under relentless Russian attacks, including guided bombs, artillery, multiple launch rocket systems, and FPV drones. Russian forces originally occupied Kupiansk at the start of the full-scale invasion before being liberated by Ukrainian forces in September 2022. Also on Kupiansk front, another crispy Russian occupier can't contain his emotions after a fiery strike on a vehicle.
Пизда тачки. С одного выстрела нахуй нас уебали. Ёбаный в рот.
Footage shows the destruction of Russian personnel and equipment as Signum drone operators from the 53rd Mechanized Brigade hit Russian positions. Around 50 Russian troops were wiped out in a series of precise strikes. The war in Ukraine has rewritten the modern military playbook, and nothing has done more to reshape the battlefield than the explosive rise of drones. What began as a limited tool for reconnaissance has turned into the defining weapon of the conflict, transforming tactics, logistics, morale, and the very rhythm of fighting. Both sides now rely on swarms of cheap, fast-produced drones capable of scouting, striking, and hunting targets with a precision that was unimaginable only a decade ago. The Ukrainian military adapted first and fastest, turning civilian quadcopters, improvised FPV-S and long-range systems into a layered ecosystem of aerial eyes and flying munitions. This innovation has forced Russian forces to rethink how they move, hide, and survive on ground that is constantly watched from above. For Russian soldiers, the psychological impact has become as powerful as the physical threat. Many accounts from the front describe a growing fear of the high-pitched buzz cutting through the air, the signature warning that a drone is nearby and that death may follow seconds later. It is not the sight of artillery or armor that drives men to take cover. It is the sound of a small propeller that signals an imminent FPV strike or a grenade dropped with pinpoint accuracy. Russian units that once relied on fortifications or camouflage find that nothing on an open battlefield can be hidden for long. Even in rear areas, soldiers sleep lightly because drones range far beyond the trenches, striking command posts, fuel trucks, and ammunition depots with relentless tempo. This constant exposure erodes morale, slows movement, and makes every task, from delivering supplies to evacuating wounded, a dangerous gamble. Ukraine's advantage comes from agility and decentralized innovation. Drone pilots are trained quickly, deployed in small teams, and empowered to make decisions in seconds. New designs move from concept to field use in weeks. Explosive payloads grow stronger, Flight ranges extend. Artificial intelligence assists with targeting and navigation. In a war dominated by attrition, drones provide the ability to strike cheaply and continuously against expensive Russian hardware, grinding down armored vehicles, artillery, and logistics columns. The cost-effectiveness is staggering. A few $100s of components can disable or destroy assets worth millions. Politician and propagandist Alexander Kazakov publicly admits that one of the goals of Russia's strikes on Ukraine's infrastructure is to drive out residents from the territories Russia intends to occupy.
If we were to analyze our most recent airfield strikes, e.g. pause, if we simply look at the maps and then overlay map upon map, map upon map, over and over again, then it's as if the German Democratic Republic still exists, even now. If you look at the election results, you'll see it's all blue there. Where East India, Dora Sata Toma, where Alternative for Germany is the border of the former GDR. And here, if you look by overlaying our airstrikes one upon the other, it can be said in military terms that we're isolating the theater of operations. It's possible. However, it can also be expressed in a different way, because the primary attacks are specifically directed at left bank Ukraine and the Odessa region. By left bank, I'm referring to those cities that are situated along the Dnieper River. This includes places like Kyiv, Dnipropetrovsk, and Zaporizhia. It gives the distinct impression that we are actively disrupting the logistical network across the left bank territory and throughout the northern Black Sea region. And we are also provoking not only the Ukrainian armed forces, but also the civilian population to abandon these territories, especially that formerly civilian population, which has been infected by the Banderite ideology. And this is how our airstrikes designate the territories that are destined to become ours.
The Economist reveals the U.S.-Russia plan given to Zelensky is essentially a capitulation demand. Drafted by Witkoff and Dmitriev without Ukraine, it calls for a 40% cut to Ukraine's army with no corresponding cut on the Russian side, more territorial losses, bans on long-range weapons, no foreign troops, restored Kremlin-linked institutions, and even restrictions on diplomatic flights. Zelensky is set to meet U.S. generals today who will try to push this proposal. India's Reliance Industries has stopped importing Russian crude for its massive Jamnagar refinery, effective November 20th. This comes ahead of U.S. and EU sanctions deadlines targeting Rosneft and Lukoil. From December 1st, all product exports will come from non-Russian oil. Europe makes up 28% of Reliance's export market.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comments section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week at 6 rescues in 6 days. He's doing the job every day.